Hello everyone, Neil Tappin here from Golf Monthly and welcome to West Hill Golf Club and this video in which we are going to be testing out a cheap driver. This is the Benross Delta and this comes in with a recommended retail price of £179 up against a more expensive one. This is the TaylorMade Sim Max and this has a recommended retail price of £449, so quite a big difference there. And we wanted to find out whether if you put these two drivers up against each other in a series of head-to-head tests, what you'd be giving up on if you went for the less expensive model. Now, one thing I should say now is that both drivers have been designed very much with forgiveness in mind. If you are interested in the key tech of these two drivers, head over to the Golf Monthly website where you'll be able to find out more about the key technology. Guys, if you're new to the Golf Monthly YouTube channel, please do hit the subscribe button to make sure that you don't miss any of our videos. Hit the little notification bell to make sure that you know whenever we've posted, and hit the like button if you like what you're watching. But let's head out now onto the range and onto the golf course here at West Hill to find out how these two drivers perform. Okay, so let's compare the aesthetics of these two drivers, starting with the TaylorMade Sim. And here's the head cover that you get with it. Really like the way that this looks. It's got a really premium look and feel to it. And then when you pull the head cover off, the sole view that you get, I think is really good with this TaylorMade Sim Max driver. I think it looks really modern and it looks quite high tech as well. But really, when we talk about the looks of a driver or of any golf club for that matter, I think what we're referring to is how it looks down behind the ball. And for me, this looks absolutely stunning down behind the ball. I like what TaylorMade do with their drivers, this sort of two-tone finish where you have the high-tech carbon fibre look combined with this sort of chalk white leading edge. It feels quite forgiving to look down on. It feels like you can get away with mishits. It's quite a generous hitting area, which I like, but at the same time it's got a classic shape to it. So I think what TaylorMade do really well with their drivers, they create something that looks modern whilst also having a very classic shape to it. So for me, this is just about the best looking driver on the market at the moment. So the question is, how does the Benross Delta compare? Well, the head cover I think looks really good. The look and feel of it is excellent. It looks like a premium driver actually when you see the head cover. And then when you take it off, I think Benross has done a really good job when it comes to the looks here. What they've avoided the temptation of throwing too much at this driver. They haven't added too many bells and whistles. The sole view is sort of simple and quite classic looking. There's not too much going on down there. It's very smart indeed. And then when you look at it down behind the ball, it has this kind of mid-grey finish, which I think is really smart down behind the ball. And I like this small, quite discreet alignment aid. So there's something to help you line the driver up, but it's not too big, it's not too in your face. And ultimately, Benross aren't trying to make any sort of major statements with the look of their driver. They've kept it very simple and they've kept it very classic. And in so doing, I think what they've done is they've produced a driver that in terms of its looks, it has the look of a driver that's more expensive than it actually is. So whilst if I was choosing between the two, I would choose the TaylorMade Sim Max for its looks. I think Benross and the guys that have worked on the design of this driver have done a very good job. Okay, so when we talk about the feel of a driver, I think what we're really referring to here is the sound the driver makes through impact. Ultimately, you might think that that's not terribly important, that the performance, the overall performance of the driver is really what matters. And you're right, but feel really does make up a big portion of that. There'll be certain drivers that you start to hit that you just click with, and often those are the drivers that feel the best. And if you feel confident with a driver, chances are you're going to swing slightly better with it. So it is an important category. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hit a couple of shots with both drivers so that you can hopefully pick up on the differences in terms of the sound, in terms of the feel between the two. I'm going to start with the TaylorMade Sim. Now, those of you who've watched any of my reviews of the TaylorMade Sim from the beginning of 2020 will know that I really like the way this driver sounds. In terms of what you can expect, it's definitely more of a muted impact sound. For me, it's more powerful. I really love the way this sounds through the ball. For me, that's a really great sounding driver, up there with the best on offer in 2020. So, how does our £179 driver compare? It's a much louder, for me, a much sort of higher pitched impact sound than the TaylorMade. I don't like it quite so much, but for me it's not too offensive. I don't think it sounds bad through the ball, and I think you'll find that actually there's quite a few drivers on the market, premium drivers on the market, that this sounds quite like, because I think in the last sort of 18 months or so, the driver manufacturers have tended to edge towards producing drivers that are slightly higher pitched through the ball. This Benross, I would say, certainly falls into that category. Yeah, for me, this Benross driver, it's not bad, it doesn't sound bad through the ball, but it's not quite as powerful for me as the TaylorMade Sim. So if I was going to choose one or other of these based on how it feels, it would be the TaylorMade Sim Max. Okay, so for the next part of this video, we've got an on-course performance test for you. Now, this is the 10th hole here at West Hill. It measures 425 yards or so from where I am. It's a really good hole. It's a tough driving hole, so it's a good one to test out. Firstly, how long both of these drivers are, but also how accurate they are. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hit 3 shots with each driver, and I've marked up the golf balls that I'm going to be using slightly differently. So, just to prove to you that nothing's going on here, the TaylorMade driver, I'm going to hit 3 balls, Titleist Pro V1X's with green circles around the number, and then with the Benross, it's 2 dots above the number, both using the Titleist Pro V1X's for both. I'm going to start by using the TaylorMade Sim, hit 3 shots with the Benross, and we'll go down and we'll take a look and see where they all finish. Okay, 3 shots with each. Let's go and see how we got on. Right, so I've come down to the fairway to show you where they've all finished, and I hit 3 good shots with the TaylorMade, and I hit 2 good ones with the Benross and 1 really quite poor one. So let me just show you where they've all finished. So the wide I hit with the Benross has finished over here. Right, so this was the worst shot I hit. This was the biggest wide I hit, and that was with the Benross. Not a very good shot. As you can see, slightly snookered by these trees, but I haven't lost it. Then the second shot I hit with the Benross has finished here. So not a bad spot, and in competition I'd definitely take this. I'd be quite pleased with this actually in competition. As you can see, that's the second shot I hit with the Benross, and that's leaving me a shot of about 140 odd yards into the green here on the 10th hole at West Hill. I'd be quite happy with that, to be honest with you. And then I hit some quite good shots. I mean, I hit all 3 of the TaylorMade shots I hit were pretty good. And I hit 1 good straight one with the Benross. So the 4 remaining shots I all hit pretty well, and you can see there's 2 here, there's 1 here, 1 here, there's 1 further up the fairway, a bit further up there, and there's 1 in the left rough over there. So the shortest of the good shots I hit was with the, hopefully you can see that, the Benross. Shortest of the shots, the good shots that I hit with the TaylorMade was there. The best shot I hit, which was sort of high and straight down the middle, I'd be absolutely delighted with, is here. That's the best one I hit, and as you can see, if I point up to the green, significantly less yardage into this green. I'd say I've got shot no more than about 100 yards from here. And then the next one I hit was a slight pull left, but actually is a really good position to come into this green from. It sort of opened up the green quite nicely. Let's just check it's with the TaylorMade. Yeah, as you can see, a slight scuff mark on it, but you can see that's with the TaylorMade and the shot that I've got in there. So, really interesting performance out on the golf course. Was the Benross awful? No, it wasn't. The shaft definitely felt light in my hands in comparison to the TaylorMade, which felt just that bit more solid, like I was much more in control of it. And you can see, and that sort of feeling of confidence, I think more than anything related to just better shots all round, slightly longer, definitely more controllable and slightly straighter. So the Benross, it did not perform badly by any stretch of the imagination. I'm a 5 handicapper, I'm not a robot, I'm definitely not a professional, I don't hit them straight all of the time.
And yes, I blazed one quite well right with it, but the shots that I hit well still went a good distance. They still went where I was sort of aiming to hit them. They didn't perform badly, but it seems to me that from the TaylorMade, I was getting that little bit more performance.
Okay, so moving on to the all-important verdict. And before I tell you what I thought about these two drivers, just to quickly mention that this was very much an off-the-rack test. So both drivers, I wasn't fitted for either of them, but both drivers were 9 degrees in loft. Both drivers had Fujikura shafts in, they're both stiff, but the TaylorMade had the Ventus 6, so slightly heavier than the Atmos 5S that was in the Benross. So a slight difference in terms of the shaft spec, which I think led to a slight difference in terms of performance that I'll come on to in a minute. But I want to start by talking about the performance of the Benross Delta. And I think the first thing you'll notice about it, you'll see it as soon as you see the head cover or this sole view here, is that they've kept things very simple. And I think whenever you're going in at that sort of more towards the bottom end of the price spectrum, you want something that's going to is not going to be off-putting in any way. And Benross have done nothing crazy to it, they've done nothing wacky to it to make it stand out. I think it looks very simple and very classic, and I think it's the sort of thing that any golfer could stand there, look at and hit and really enjoy. And I think it looks like it has a more premium price tag than it does. In terms of the feel and the sound, for me it wasn't quite to my liking, but that wouldn't put me off. And I'd say the performance of this driver was very good too. In terms of distance and power, I was really impressed with it. I thought it performed really well. It does have good forgiveness. I don't hit the ball out of the centre of the face every time, and it didn't seem to suffer too badly when I hit shots. Particularly, I am prone to hitting them slightly out of the heel, and this performed really well on those heel strikes. The only area with this driver where I did struggle was with my control. I lost a few shots out to the right with it, and I think that may well have had something to do with the shaft spec not being quite right for me. So that was definitely a part of the sort of the setup of this driver that didn't quite suit my game. Having said that, I think for what the price tag is, what you're getting with this Benross Delta is very, very good indeed. I think you're getting great performance, great looks, good feel, and so a really good effort from the guys at Benross to produce something that I think a lot of golfers will enjoy using. And that moves me on to the TaylorMade Sim Max, and I really love the way that this driver, I love everything about this driver really. The component parts are very good, it works really well, it's got great forgiveness, it's got great feel, it looks really good. There's not really much more I can say about this driver, other than, of course, this one is going to set you back over £200 more than this one. And that's quite a big difference. And for many people out there, they're not going to want to spend that kind of premium price tag on one golf club. Is it going to make a huge difference to their game? Only you'll be able to answer that question. What I would say is that, okay, yes, this one does come in with a higher price tag, but I still think you get good value for money with the TaylorMade Sim Max driver. So there you have it. That was our cheap versus expensive driver test. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please do hit the like button, and also leave some comments below. What do you think about the two drivers we've tested here? We'd be interested to hear your thoughts. And also, what driver do you carry? How does it perform? And if you've used anything from more towards the bottom end of the price spectrum, leave some comments below. Let us know how you got on with it. I think it's important information to share around. Guys, thank you very much for watching. If you haven't done already, please do hit the subscribe button to make sure that you don't miss any of our videos. But for now, from West Hill, it's goodbye.